Friends, welcome to today's, the Tuesday of Holy Week, brief overview and inspiration from the last week Jesus walked on earth before his death, according to the Gospel of Mark. A text you can look at today is Mark 11:20 to Mark 13:37, and our theme is, arrange a little chat for yourself at home. Every man knows what I'm talking about. Tuesday is the longest day in terms of verses in Mark's account, and it forces us to do just a very brief overview today. So fasten your seatbelt and hold on. Almost two-thirds of Tuesday is about conflict with the temple authorities and their partners. The remaining one-third warns of the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem and the coming of the Son of God in the near future. The day begins with a reflection on the fig tree from Monday and completes the frame, a two we talked about yesterday. It is withered and dead to its roots. The fig tree symbolizes Jerusalem and the temple. On Tuesday, in the first conversation with the chief priests and scribes, Jesus' authority is tested, Mark 11:27 to 33, on how he can just drive people out. Jesus first asks the temple authorities a question back about John the Baptist, and in a brilliant way, they are trapped. Jesus does not need to answer what they asked him. In the second conversation, Mark 12:1 to 12, Jesus accuses them through a parable that they initially think is not serious until they realize the parable is directed at them. They leave Jesus alone again because they are afraid of the crowd. It is important to know that the vineyard of Israel for you and me symbolizes. It belongs to the owner, which is now God, not the tenants, who are the temple authorities. In the third conversation, Mark 12:13 to 17, a few Pharisees try to trap him about paying taxes to the emperor, and Jesus says, "Give to the emperor what belongs to the emperor, and to God what belongs to him." The people of that time hated this tax. It was heavy and difficult to pay. It also naturally emphasized the power Rome had over the Jews. So this question is very cleverly crafted that they ask Jesus. If Jesus just answers yes or no, he is in trouble either with the Jews or with the Romans. Jesus is once again brilliant in his response. If the Pharisees provide a coin of the emperor, the whole crowd can see they have it, and in this moment the tables turn and they are discredited. Why? In the Jewish homeland, there were two types of coins. One type that had no engraving of people or animals according to Jewish laws. The second type had engravings including the emperor's head. Many Jews would never have used or carried these engraved coins, but Jesus' interrogators have such a coin with the emperor's head on it, and it describes him as the Son of God on the coin. Right there, they are exposed as part of the political conspiracy. So even before the famous words Jesus utters, Jesus already destroys the Pharisees simply because they have such a coin. But that's not all. Give to God what belongs to God actually now brings forth the question, what belongs to God? Everyone there would have understood that everything belongs to God, which implies nothing belongs to the emperor. So in your own life, Jesus wants to ask you today, what belongs to God? The fourth conversation is about life and death and life after death, Mark 12:28 to 29, and without going into any detail, the kingdom of God for Jesus is not primarily about the dead, but about the living, not primarily about the afterlife, but about life in this world. Is your Christianity primarily about where you go when you die, or primarily about what you live out now, where you live, where you work, and where you play? Because there is a huge difference. Fifthly, Jesus is asked which commandment is the most important, Mark 12:18 to 34. In this story, the emphasis is on the scribe who asked the question. Jesus is actually very friendly with this scribe and then finally presents to him in words that imply distance and closeness. Jesus says, "You are not far from the kingdom of God." He is indeed not far from it because he knows the heart of the kingdom of God, but he is still not in it. To be in it means more than just knowing it in the heart. It means to live it. Do you know God's heart for this world? And even more importantly, do you live the heart of the kingdom of God? Peace, grace, love, and hope. After this, Jesus challenges the Pharisees and scribes about their teachings and practices. Mark 12:35-44. This piece is very critical of the rich. It can be understood in two ways. Firstly, it indicates the deep devotion of this widow who gives everything she has compared to the generosity of the rich, thus everything versus a piece of generosity. Secondly, it can be understood as a condemnation of how the system forces the poor to give every last piece they have to maintain the temple. In both cases, this text is very critical of the rich. We who live in the top 10% of the world, what does our giving look like? Lastly, Jesus opened the curtain a little. Mark 13:5-37. Jesus is with you, in you, and you will be with him forever, now and always. Tuesday was a long day. By this time it is evening on the Mount of Olives. Darkness is coming, a darkness that will deepen as the week goes on. I greet you until tomorrow in the words of Mark as the darkness descends. Mark commands us, be watchful, be awake. Look, take care,